My mother told me when she reached the age of 50 that she was old. This idea of being old at 50 has given me 40 years of extra enjoyment. I'm a teacher, I'm a historian. I believe that knowing the past is very important. Well, when I was driving, I like to drive. I drive my wife and we drive around looking at new places. But now that I don't drive, having sort of gone past it now, I take the MRT, I take the bus, because my doctors advise me, good for you to walk. I think I've explored now every one of MRT lines, and I discovered how big Singapore is, how many people there are and how scattered they are, and how very interesting. Each place is different. I like the parks. I love to walk amongst the flowers and the trees. But I also enjoy city malls. I like to look at how different malls are organized, what kinds of different shops there are, the kind of people who in that locality, what they enjoy, what they obviously like. When I was still quite young, my mother told me when she reached the age of 50 that she was old. So I got it into my head that anybody older than 50 is old. And now I discovered that I've had extra 40 years plus, and being old is great fun. Well, socialism was very much associated with anti-colonialism when we were students. So anti-colonialism was the basis of our nation building. The Socialist Club was very ready to support any party that was fighting for independence. And so when the People's Action Party was founded, and Mr. Lee Kuan Yew was one of the advisors to the Socialist Club when our members got arrested by the British. If we're going to be an independent country, one day we must have our own literature. So in the context of that, we began to experiment. So I was one of those who tried my hand, and my friend Bida Lim got the idea that he took 12 of my poems and he put them into, he typed them all and copied them and turned them into a little booklet. I suppose the main point is its location. It's extremely unusual. It's central, for example, to a whole region, the region of Southeast Asia. And Southeast Asia is very central to a larger region of continental Asia, the Pacific, Australasia. So its perspective is not just local and regional, but actually global, because it was part of the British Empire. Also, I'm interested in Chinese history. It's not very far from China, but far enough for me to have a distance to look at it, look at China with a degree of, objectivity. Well, we met as students, and she was a year behind me, but we had a similar interest in literature. We both loved music. We were married for 64 years. Those 64 years, I never felt I was not home. I was always home, you know. It doesn't matter where I was home because we were together. I'm going to talk about living with civilizations. And by this I mean, we should distinguish between cultures and civilizations. There were many attempts to build civilizations, but many of them failed or got absorbed into larger civilizations. But cultures always survive. And Southeast Asia had that long history of having its own culture. It would draw from other people's cultures or other people's civilizations, and then it would build its own culture, and distinct culture of which it is proud, and it continues to survive till this day. I mean, Singapore is a latecomer, but Singapore is part of the region now, and eventually Singapore will have its own national culture.